Today is a great day for me to talk about my favorite kinds of topics, which tend to be emotionally deep thinking, inclined, so on and so forth. And this is one that is particularly special for me because I feel like a lot of people don't believe me when I say that I really am a simple person. So I thought, what about if I create a list, the things that make me feel like I am respected, wanted, valued, but above all, loved? Because I have had people present in my life who do things that make me tell myself somebody who loves me and respects me would not do that. It's just not normal, no matter what they say, no matter how much they try to justify it. It's not right. I feel it in my gut that it's not right, but I don't get back up with it, but I don't need it because at the end of the day, I know who and what I am. And maybe the person who's inflicting this kind of pain onto me has not spent time figuring out who the hell they are. At this point, it's not an issue of me. I'm gonna share my list. I hope that you guys share your own too, if you have it, or let me know if you agree with any of the ones that I have, or which ones shock you, or which ones are you like, WTF, why? Some of them make me feel that way. So the first one is something that I have discussed here before, but discretion. If I tell you something, no matter how simple it is, no matter how superficial it is, but especially if it's something that's kind of deep, assume that you're the sole intended recipient. Be discreet. If I share something with you, especially on personal level, like details about how I'm feeling and stuff, that's for you. Even if I end up telling someone else something that's kind of related to what I shared with you, maybe there's stuff that I'm not going to say that I don't want to be known. My matters are my matters for me to divulge or not as I see fit. So just practice that with everybody, not just me, but with everybody. Assume that what everybody is telling you is just for you to keep. Only speak up if you feel like there's something that is endangering the person and you are the only person at this point who can interfere. But seriously, guys, nothing is freaking cooler than you having plans that you are keeping to yourself and people don't find out until after the fact, and everybody's like, well, why didn't you tell me this and that? It don't matter. It's because that's for me and the person involved. We make it special. So if you guys understand that at all, if you have any kind of relationship with being that way, let's discuss it. I'm very interested in discussing it because some people who are not like that, who they really want for everybody to know what they're up to, everybody to know their business, they have one thing in common, and that is that they are really stupid stressed. And it is a stress that I just personally cannot relate to, and I think that it boils down to the fact that I only feed the adequate people the right information because I have had the time to sit down and think about that. But I feel like a lot of people are hungry for validation, but once you have that validation, you don't know how to handle it. Make me understand, help me understand. Another thing that makes me feel like I am absolutely loved and valued is when you fight for me without any doubt. What I mean by that is, I'm not saying that you have to defend me even when I'm wrong. I will be wrong, and I am hoping to God that you point out to me when I'm wrong if I'm not seeing it, because that's my opportunity to grow. Just be sure that you have a civil way of going about it. I'm seriously the easiest person in the world to talk to. But I have had people in my personal life who I think, why are you even here? If you're not part of my team, if I'm not part of your team, which I can say that I am, for I defend you, even in times when you're kind of indefensible, I was still there. But when it's my turn to have someone backing me up, you're not fucking there. that is incredibly painful because it lets me see that I'm not as much of a priority in your life as I think that I am, or you have made me believe that I am. And that is painful. And if you're making someone feel that way, and that has not been your intention, the least that you can do is fucking let them explain to you why they feel that way. But in my personal experience, the person got incredibly defensive. I could never explain myself, I could never get the point across because this person was seeing it as an attack on their character. And this person seriously missed out on an opportunity for growth, especially at managing their own interpersonal skills, particularly the personal skills that are intimate, not the superficial kind, the you're just a casual friend type. Anybody can handle those. But if you're struggling with your personal connections, something is wrong. And this is like a bare minimum sign that something is wrong. But the longer that you dodge it, the longer that you walk out of the conversation, the longer you avoid it, you're not allowing yourself to see those things. And there's going to come a point in which everything around you is going to start collapsing. And you're going to feel a weird stress and depression that you cannot really address. And it's really so simple because all you had to do was avoid it from happening. But people just don't spend time thinking about that because we are a very on the now kind of society. And that's fucking sad. Another thing that tells me that I am loved is when I am respected under every single goddamn circumstance. I cannot say that I have been respected under any and every single goddamn circumstance. And honestly, it's kind of hard to explain. I just want to understand why it happens. That is an answer that I don't have for you guys. The experiences that make me share this, I wish I had the answer. I have looked for it, but I don't. I have my suspicions, my hypothesis as to why that happened, but I don't like to, for something like this, create my own answer because I'm lacking one. I like to have the actual source provide that answer. All I can say is that there is no amount of annoyance, anger, disagreement, frustration, whatever that justifies you becoming disrespectful. And if you're becoming disrespectful for whatever circumstance, for whatever reason it is, that is a major attitude problem on your part. And you have to fix that. You have to rectify that because it's not going to get better. It's only going to get worse. And if you find yourself picking fights around with people, like for any stupid reason, that is the clear indication that you're the root of the problem. And that's something that you have to figure out. But for you to try to come over to me and tell me that I'm confronting you, that I'm feeling like I'm not being respected or treated well, and you're trying to justify it by telling me the things that you do that are a sign of respect, but then on a very basic level, you're treating me poorly. No, like this isn't about the things that you do well. This is about the things that you do that are not well. So don't try to defend yourself with other things that you do that aren't related to this point, but you're using that to try to invalidate my, let's call it, criticism of you because it's for my sake. Nobody likes to be disrespected, and I'm letting you know. So why the fuck can you not handle it? Politeness is absolutely one of my favorite things that someone can perform, display, and it makes me feel loved and respected. It is amazing when someone watches their manners, minds, how they speak. The way you speak doesn't really affect me that much because I mean, you guys know that I can be a potty mouth, but if you're being considerate, say you want to discuss something, but you're like, hey, I don't mean to be like all up on you, this and that. If you do that gesture, that makes me more willing to welcome you in. Because if it were me, having a curiosity about you that may be a little personal, I would hope that you would trust me. Because if I'm asking, it's because I feel confident that I could get the answer from you. So why would I not reciprocate that and be like, hey, you have a curiosity about me? You have let me in on your stuff. I will let you in on my stuff, because it should be a rewarding experience. There are some people, unfortunately, whom I have had present in my life who were not the most polite human beings. And that sucks. I don't know why I tolerated it, but now I know that I no longer tolerate that type of thing. I will call you out on it as an opportunity for growth. Take it or leave it. And if you leave it, I'm leaving you too. It's that simple. Speaking with sincerity. Please never ever try to have a conversation with me trying to generate a reaction from me. There's some people who tell me stories to try to shock me or excite me. And I know that because I have been told, oh, suddenly after I told you that, you didn't respond how I expected you would. Why? Why are you trying to manipulate my emotion? My emotions are something that I have very well developed and I also reserve. But if you speak to me with sincerity, you will bring out those kinds of emotions from me. It'll be natural. But when you're exaggerating a story for the sake of shocking me or something like that, your energy just changes. And when that change in energy takes place, I pick up on it. And that's how I know not to entertain you. If that doesn't make a lot of sense, I promise you that in the future, I'm going to come out with a video in which we explore that a little deeper. But just know that all you have to do is be fucking honest, because I am honest 100% of the time. And I expect for you to be as well. Just why is it difficult for people to just be honest? I understand if you're sharing information but omitting certain details because you cannot let someone in on everything. I get it, because that is done to me, say when I'm at work or when something is going on in the family that's like private amongst certain members and whatnot. Like, I understand, I'm not going to pry. But whatever you do, whatever information you're sharing, make it be the most truthful, the most sincere, accurate as you can. And I say most and not absolute, because it is possible for you to have slip-ups. Maybe you're sharing something that you picked up from somewhere else and the information was not 100% correct. That's what you're spreading. Like, that's an innocent mistake. But if something originates from you and you're present and witnessing something, it is your responsibility to, if you're going to transmit what you just saw, to make it 100% accurate. That's when you should be absolutely accurate. But when you start lying, it turns into an issue of manipulation. And nobody has time for that. Nobody deserves that. Even if you're dealing with someone who lies to you, first of all, why are you dealing with this person? But second of all, it doesn't mean that you have to do that to this person too. You have to become the liar, because then you're taking something that's already an issue and making it bigger because you're contributing to it. So just be sincere with me, please. Like, there is no reason for you to have to twist the truth or bend reality or anything for me. Because if I catch you doing that, that's it. It's over. I'm never going to trust you again. Teasing me is one way to absolutely make me feel like I'm loved. And the reason I say that is because you guys know how I say that the best way to bond with me is to actually troll me, to like pick on me and try to agitate me and things, because I will fire back. I will troll you back. So if you're teasing me and like behaving like you're an asshole, but if you see someone else doing it, you're like, only I can do that to her, that lets me know that you really love me. Because something about you letting someone get away with something that average people would not be able to get away with, it makes you special. So with all of my better friends, that's exactly how I am. I tease them, they tease me, and we all understand that this is us poking fun at each other. And that also helps us not take shit so seriously. But the way that I ensure that the integrity of that is preserved is I let them know, hey, no matter how I act, how I sound, how I feel, what I say, just remember that I have a lot of respect for you. Because if you continually have a relationship with someone in which you're just like attacking them, even if it's a joke, at some point you don't know what kind of day they're having. And you may catch them in a day when they could use being told nice things. So I try to not let an ample amount of time go by without them hearing how I truly feel about them, which is, hey, remember that if we're teasing each other like this, it's because you're actually special and I like you. So I think it's good to have those reminders here and there. Trying to make me laugh. Now, this one kind of goes hand in hand with the sincerity one, but if you're trying to make me laugh, you will eventually make me laugh just by being yourself. I have discovered in recent times being the last couple of years, that for some reason, the way that I react to humor is most of what I react to that I find funny is the method of delivery. Like, let it be your tone, let it be how you sound, let it be your facial expression. That is what tends to amuse me more than the actual content of what's supposed to be funny. I don't know how else to put it, I don't know how else to describe it or flesh it out, but just know that if you're actively trying to like put together something to make me laugh, you will probably fail. So just be your natural self. And sometimes your natural mannerisms are entertaining to me. The way I know that is that I keep getting asked, what is it that you're smiling about? And I'm thinking, well, it's because I was just observing the way that you were doing this and that, saying this and that. And I just couldn't help but laugh because you have this charisma, this aura to you. It entertains me. It makes me feel happy. It amuses me, whatever. If you ever say a joke and you don't get the reaction from me that you want, first of all, like I said earlier, don't try to get a reaction from me, but also understand that the way I react to humor is usually more about the stuff that isn't really materialized. It's more about the essence of something. So maybe one day I'll make a video in which we explore that a little better, but just know that when it comes to humor, that's how I operate. Surprising me with my favorite things. Not only is it about the fact that you're actually investing in me or putting time into me, it's more about the fact that you're actually paying attention to me and retaining things about me. That is an unbelievable feeling for me because I feel like only I am the one who cares enough in this world to remember the things that people like, how they like it. And I'm like, what about me? Why is it that people get me wrong when I make it like painfully obvious and easy what my favorite things are? It has disappointed me a few times that people who I guess I held to a slightly higher standard, it was like, wow, how did you mess up the fact that my favorite color is this and that when I talk about how navy is my favorite color all the time, or just blue is my favorite color? Like, how did you fucking forget? How did you not make that connection? Whatever. While I try to limit that to just being something superficial, it can sting a little bit if I let it get to me, because I'm thinking, how is it that you never remember a damn thing about me? Are you just not caring about me? Are you just not listening to me? Are you just not taking me seriously? With that, I'm not going to penalize you entirely. But what I'm saying is that if you surprise me with my favorite things and you're actually getting it right, you know that it's one of my favorite things, it hits different. It hits in a more special spot. But the sole fact that you're thinking about me at all and you're getting me something and bringing me something, or you picked something up and you were thinking about me, to me, that automatically puts you in a special spot. What I'm saying is that there are different layers, different levels to how much an impact you're going to have on me. I'm just letting you know that it will be a rewarding experience to do something for me. But if you want to really score extra bonus, extra credit points, these are the little things that you could do that I will consider. when that thing happens. More than likely, if you get me something that I'm kind of like WTF about, you'll never find out because I'm actually polite. Just know that there's stuff that me, as someone who's a deep thinker, it's like, oh, I noticed this and that about you. So another thing is, if you take a dare and you actually score right, that's also cool. And an example that I can give is, I have this one friend who, we're always talking about food. And I asked him if he had tried a particular snack. He said no. And I said, you know what? I got this hunch that if I get this thing for you, even though it's weird, you're going to like it. I got it, dropped it off, he tried it, and he said he is absolutely in love with it and addicted, and he never knew that such a thing existed. That lets me know that I was paying attention. I was considerate about, what is it this person is into? What do they like? And maybe the reason I can get it right is because I was being guided by something outside of my brain. Like, when I get that little hunch, that little gut feeling, I always, always, always do as it says. And it never fails me. That's what I mean. Those are the types of things that make me feel special. And of course, I guess to feed off those details, I can say, if you're attentive, I will undoubtedly take that as an act of love. Because let me tell you, it is so hard to retain someone's attention. I don't mind you being a multitasker, because shit, I'm a multitasker too, and I understand that time is precious. But if you're a multitasker and that's costing you something, such as your ability to pay attention and retain information that's been delivered to you, don't be a multitasker. Either sacrifice me or sacrifice the task that you're on, but pay attention, because if I'm telling you something, I'm expecting that you're actually paying attention and retaining, understanding, interpreting, remembering, processing what I'm saying. Because if you're going to be there but just not active, you're not there for me, you're there physically but not like mentally and emotionally invested in me, what the fuck is the point? Leave. Be attentive. Being attentive is an ultimate display of respect, especially this day and age. Just trust me, trust me, trust me. Of course, defending and protecting me is inherently a gesture that's going to make me feel loved. And by protecting me, I mean, let's say that I'm about to make a decision that you think is just not wise. Talk to me, explain to me what your concerns are, and more than likely you'll be able to convince me. If I feel like it's putting me in danger or something, I can be reasoned with. Try me. Also, hear me out if I begin to counter argue with what you're saying. But that is what makes connections beautiful. Like, maybe you will convince me, maybe you won't, but ultimately, if my safety is on the line, I will be like, wait, what the fuck? Why am I thinking about this? How am I putting myself in harm's way? Like, that would concern me, because I'm thinking, wow, how did I not think about that shit? I'm glad that you're there. That really doesn't happen to me, but I'm thinking about what circumstance would make me feel like you protecting me would be an act of love. So that as a minimum example. Another thing could be something as basic as, say, oh, I see that this thing is really heavy. Are you sure that you want to carry it? It could hurt you. Or, I don't know, the weather is very bad. How about if I'm on my way to the store? What if I go and bring anything that you might need? Because I don't want you to need something and then have to go out and put yourself in harm's way. To me, that would be another example of protection. So everything that the word protection encompasses is there. On the note of defending me, I have experienced situations in which I have been the victim, that clear, present, unquestionable victim of abuse, mistreatment, verbal attacks, all of that. And I was not defended. I want to say that I did not need defending because I was defending myself, but the fact that I had someone who was supposed to err on my side actually taking someone else's side and defending them whilst attacking me, that was incredibly painful. I tolerated it because I said, well, I never know what is fueling this person. But in a situation like that, when I am, say, the absolute victim of something, and you're actually pairing up with the monster. How can I defend that? How can I accept that? How can I tolerate that? How can I even forgive that? Which I ended up forgiving that. But if you do that, what the fuck? You don't love me. You're giving the other person my place. So why would I need to respect you anymore after that, right? But just know that if I catch you defending me, defending my name, defending my integrity, defending everything about me, which I work so hard to maintain, I notice that and it makes me feel loved. And I appreciate that. Having emotional intelligence is an absolute show of love toward me. Because you guys, it's becoming more and more fucking difficult to have intimate discussions, emotional discussions that in the end are actually rewarding. I am pleased to say that in recent times I have been extremely blessed with having people that I have been able to establish that type of a connection with. But not only is the fact that I have those people, is the fact that it happened when I was at my darkest, at my loneliest, at my most depressed and sad and frustrated and I'm about to be a lost soul forever kind of level. And these folks arrived at the perfect time, right when I was about to like give up or, like I said, reach my absolute lowest. That quest toward healing, because these people either found me or I found them. I don't know how it happened, but that I was rewarded with them. It's been incredible. And now the way I can say that it really has that much of an impact on me is because the way that I look at the point of being alive is really simple. We exist to alleviate, cure misery. The fact that I was able to experience that, like I was at my most miserable, my lowest, and someone arrived in my life and healed me, cured me, nursed me back to being well. It really has been the most rewarding experience ever. And I see the difference in how I feel, how I think, how I sleep, the type of things that stress me out, the type of things that make me anxious, the types of things that I worry about. In fact, the whole way in which I worry has evolved. That's how I know that it's truly worked out. Also, support, no matter how minimal or what it may cost. Not necessarily financial is what I mean by cost, but say costing your time, costing your your tolerance, your patience, your whatever it is. And maybe occasionally a couple of dollars or something. If you know that I haven't eaten in 2 days and you decide to feed me, thank you for feeding me. Okay, like something like that, just to give you a crazy example. Any kind of support. I always notice it. I always appreciate it. I never take it for granted, and it's an absolute display of love toward me. Loyalty. Once my ally, forever my ally. Just like I mentioned earlier about how I worked so fucking hard to maintain everything. Only if you truly understand me will you serve this term permanently. And what I mean by that is that there are people who I have my severe disagreements with, and these are people who make decisions that affect my life. But even so, even after I have expressed my point and we're still at that disagreement and say what I hope doesn't happen is how we're going to roll anyway, I still remain loyal to that person. And I feel like in modern days, loyalty is something so hard to either come by or maintain because we are constantly shifting from one interest to another. We are being pulled away more and more from our nucleus. How many of you still live with like a nuclear family kind of setting? How many of you are still actually in your hometown? Like, our loyalty to something, loyalty to our values, loyalty to our people, all of that shit is suffering. Well, I am an extremely loyal person. If that is you, if you are that person and you find me, just know that I'm in it for the long ride. I'm in it forever. And I hope that you are too, because nothing sucks more than you having to continually start over, start over, start over. But it's awesome when you have had someone with you riding all along, and then that person just knows you best. They're going to be there to reap the rewards no matter what. Of course, physical affection is another way to make me feel loved. If you're close to me, you will know by now who you are, because usually I am the one to establish that bond, the physical bond. I have no issues displaying physical affection. As I have mentioned before, the way it happens as well is through an impulse that I get. So if I have ever touched you or hugged you or like held your hand or kind of like tickled you or whatever the hell, just know that you are permanently authorized to hug me and display affection toward me. Unless you do something fucked up and I let you know that you fucked up, then you have to be dismissed from such privileges. Physical affection is something that I think complements all of those other values. So if we reach that area where I'm naturally hugging you as soon as I see you, or at some point I just do any kind of physical contact, like for me, physical touch is like the way that I validate your presence. It's kind of like, wow, you're actually real, you're here. And something about touching someone I'm tight with, it protects me or helps me snap out of a meltdown. I discovered the power of touch when I was 19 years old. I just knew that I had so much control with the way that I touch. And I never knew that. I never knew how neglected my touch was in my life. I just never understood how much power touch can have, but also how much information is hidden with our sense of touch. So, with people, there is an art to touching. Because, of course, if you touch someone really rough, nobody likes that. But if you're able to implement a caressing gesture at the right moment, it can really open up a complete different path for you. I cannot claim expertise on that area. I can just speak from my experiences when, once again, I get that gut feeling and I act on that impulse, and it helped me achieve a connection with someone that I think no amount of words was going to achieve, but touch had to do its thing. You just have to trust me that that is a thing. I wish that I were an expert and I could explain it better, but all that I have is anecdotes to share and how I have tried that multiple times and it has worked out fine. Although I mentioned this before, I wanted to make this my final point, and that is remembering shit about me. I remember shit about you. I'm fairly confident that I will remember everything that you say to me. Auditorily, my retention is better than written. So some of you guys in the comments, sometimes I feel bad because I know that all of you at some point told me when your birthdays are, but I forget it because I don't have a face to associate. Internet communication is difficult for me because I don't get to hear you, I don't get to see you, and when it comes to faces, I'm actually pretty bad in person at remembering faces and attaching a name to them. But if we develop something, of course I'm going to remember your name and your face. When it comes to relying on the phone to communicate with people, I'm kind of brain dead in that regard. And I wish that I could be better about that. But all I have to say is that in real life, in person, I am that person who you say something to today And 5 years from now, I'm still gonna fucking remember it. So be that way with me. It's not hard. All you have to do is be attentive. Effort. All right, guys, that's it from me. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you enjoyed this topic. It really gives me a warm feeling to share these things because until fairly recently, I never genuinely felt like me talking about these things was rewarded. So, in a sense, me opening up about this is a way of finding myself and bringing myself back, but also establishing more meaningful connections, which I really don't struggle with. But I would like to explain it just in case there's someone out there struggling. Maybe you'll find this and it will serve as an inspiration or a guide, because I know that I had guides and inspirations. So why would I not be able to serve as one for somebody out there? All right, guys, I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.